Okay, this is OK here, and this is a post-mortem of the 2018 Crazyhouse World Championship final, um, which was completed last Saturday, the third day of the final, the third Saturday, and the winner and the new Crazyhouse World Champion is International Master opperwezen, who who beat Jan Lee 11.5 to 8.5 on the final Saturday, and overall 32.5 to 27.5 in the 60 game match of 3+2 Crazyhouse games. And in this video, I'd like to share with you probably 18. Yeah, 18. Since it's the 2018 World Champion, we're going to share 18 of the games from this 60-game series, and we're just going to have uh, just a fairly quick perusal of them, and if we're lucky, we'll be joined later by opperwezen himself. So actually, game one, I already did an in-depth video on my which you can see on my YouTube. So I'm not going to discuss game one again in detail, but I'll just play through it while I'm introducing everything. So the Crazyhouse World Championship final was 120, about 150 people whittled down to 128 in a qualifying tournament. Those 128 people took part in a double elimination knockout, leaving 8 people plus 3 wildcards. The runner-up last year, International Master opperwezen and JK the Bullfrog. So 11 candidates in total. Those 11 candidates played a round-robin tournament, and you can see all the details on the blog of the results of that round-robin. And the winner of the round-robin was International Master opperwezen with a score of 9.5 out of 10. Surprising some people because he beat 12-teen along the way, who was the challenger last year. So the final this year was between International Master opperwezen and Jan Lee. So in this game one, something went wrong. Something went very wrong. So let's try again. Because I just went down a variation of game one rather than game one itself. Yeah, it was a very intense game because both sides attacking each other, and then suddenly the air is cleared and both sides are safe, like here. And then they begin again, attacking each other, trying to clear out each other's pieces. And again, we find the attacks have dissolved for both sides. Again, both sides are safe, and again, the position is quite equal. But the attack is going to come along this diagonal, I believe, because there's no finch-etted bishop, and there's a weakness on these light squares. And although white's attacking, black's attack is faster. So the speed of your attack is very important. So I'm not going to analyze this game in any depth. I'm just, because I've done a 1-hour video of this on my YouTube, just because I thought it was such a fascinating game. And this is kind of crucial. I mean, rook takes bishop seems very natural. But maybe queen takes pawn was, I don't know. Actually, it's hard to say, because the engine is not entirely accurate, but now black has initiative, a big attack which is impossible to stop, and Jan Lee found mate in that first game. So I'll just share the link to my YouTube where you can see lots of commentary videos in fact, and also a playlist of 88 videos, not all mine, from Jan Lee and others from this year's Crazyhouse World Championship. In fact, I just do a 1-hour commentary just on this game. But for this video, we're going to look through 18 games from the 2018 Crazyhouse World Championship, and we're going to begin with game 3. Just loading it up. Okay, so opperwezen is white, and we're seeing the d6 of the e4, e5. So not developing the bishop to c5, not bishop e7, but first d6. It's quite a sort of solid setup from Jan Lee. There's an exchange of queens. Now, actually, and I think Jan Lee did later say he prepared this later. So in later games, he played king takes d8 in this line. So d6 and king takes d8. But I'm not sure if he'd prepared already bishop takes d8 on day 1. So we saw on day 3 he played king takes d8. We got these. Although the king can never castle, the knight protects any pawn drops here, and yeah. So in this game, just developing his pieces. He's losing a piece, and then a very creative move from opperwezen, just moving his bishop to h6. Opperwezen is famous for these moves, which they're not natural moves that humans would think of, but the point is very simple. I want to put a knight on f6 because it would allow me to get a queen on e8 if you were to take this bishop. So I think I've already inserted the variation here. You can just go here, 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 and take the rook. Sure. So black gets a bishop and a knight for his rook. But look at the black king. So there's no direct mate, but the point is that this position is very bad for black, and when pieces are going to get exchanged, the king has no route back to safety. The king can't very easily build a fortress on the side of the board. Yeah, okay, in fact, the computer is seeing mate in 10, so very difficult position. Okay, so you can never take this. So bishop to h6, very cute little move. Sometimes these moves are not necessarily the best moves in the position, though, because of course, if black doesn't take the bait, then that bishop might be looking a little bit silly on h6. But actually, arguably it isn't, because it's targeting g7 and it is creating threats. So it's all about f6. In Crazyhouse, it's very important to look at weak squares and entry squares into a position. So Jan Lee wisely played queen at g6, and opperwezen picks up the piece. Okay, so opper sacks a piece for a pawn. And begins an attack. And this is another very subtle move, dropping a pawn on e6. It's not defended, but the point is it just creates a space for the queen to come in, and then queen takes e6. And what can black do? I mean, arguably queen to e7 is the only defending piece that would guard e6. But the problem with that is knight to f6, king to d6, and is there anything? I'm thinking queen takes queen maybe, but no, there's something sharper apparently. We have a knight in hand, so knight at c4, king to c5, and then you take the queen, so you better take back. And let me see, can you see a mate here? So we have a queen in hand. So maybe b4. Okay, so I'll just have a queen a5. Apparently is a more efficient mate, with the idea of if king takes knight, then b3 check, king d4, knight to e2, and that's defended. Various ideas like this. But anyway, the queen is all, this is all over. Queen here is also possible, and then you have knight a4, king takes knight, queen here. Okay, so the point is, blocking with the queen won't do. So Jan makes a run for it. Blocks with the pawn, knight check, king here, knight takes pawn check, takes b4 check, king takes knight. Now you can take the bishop with check. It's always a great thing to take pieces with check in this game. And this is a very critical position because white does indeed have mate in this position. But what happened in the game is opper went to queen b3 check, and at this point the king can run back here and eventually run back to safety. In fact, there is mate with a3 check. King has only got one square it can go to, no, two squares, here or here. But either way, you b4 check, and now the kings can go to either one of these two squares. Okay, so king d6, check, 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 check. And at this point, this is the key point in the match. a3 check, king here, pawn here, king here. The reason you don't want to go to a6 is because otherwise the queen comes in. So you go to b6 if you can, knight a4, but now now there's a very, very subtle move that white has in this position. Bishop here. So if the king goes back, the queen comes in with checkmate. But if you take the bishop, queen comes in here, and the king is penned rather onto the side on the side of the board, and that's checkmate. Unfortunately for opper, he went with queen b3 check, which looks very natural, but checks again, maybe hoping for a blocker, and then he can pick up another piece. Goes back, queen here check. Now the blocker. And the point is you can go knight check or bishop check, but the king is just stepping back. Bishop here check. And that wasn't the case when the queen was here and coming in to c6. So he needs an extra move to get in. So he's hoping for pawn takes pawn, check, pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn, checkmate. Okay, but pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Now there's a defender. Okay, he opens a rook file, but still black is actually safe. The checks run out, and the moment the checks run out, black has an army of pieces, and there's no way of avoiding mate. So if king d1, just pawn at e2 will be mate. So he has to take this, takes, but now black has a queen in hand, and opper realizes the game is up, so he gives up the fight and steps into mate. So that was game 3. I mean, that was just a getaway from Jan Lee, where opper had mate, but you can never count Jan out. He went on a crazy king run. Opper actually bounced back in game 4. I'm not going to go into detail in this game, just going to show you because I think it's really instructive ideas of how you have to be so careful in Crazyhouse about your f2 pawn. So in this position, knight takes knight, he gives up his queen. So on the face of it, you might think, well, isn't white doing pretty nicely? Yeah, he's doing okay. But knight to c3, I mean, Stockfish doesn't mark it as a huge mistake, but look at this move, at e3. So black has lost a queen for a piece, but Stockfish didn't see that move coming even. But he's coming in. This is hitting both the queen and the king, so if the king moves, you just pick up the queen. So he gives up the queen for 2 pieces, which in Crazyhouse is actually quite a good exchange. Hi there, Real Andrew 2888 in the Twitch chat. Yeah, we're doing some review of the CWC final games and looking at game 4 out of 60. And he comes in, knight here, check. King g3, it's the only move that avoids mate. If you step back, then queen here followed by queen here is checkmate. So he steps forward, queen here. He doesn't want to take the knight because otherwise you can push the pawn and release the bishop. Is there any other move that, if you take the knight, yeah, e5 check is mating. So I won't go into details on that, but That's just something of interest. Knight takes pawn, so he's hitting the queen. So notice there's no mate for Opper, but he's just very good at check, releases the bishop, and in this position, Jan resigned, because if the king steps forward, the pawns are mating the white king. If you just try to block the bishop with the pawn, I think you can just mate this king with pawns, basically. So here, check, king h3, and then bishop takes pawn, and bishop takes, or pawn at, yeah, just bishop takes, in fact. Pawn at g4, or in fact, g4, it makes no difference. The king can't run back, so bishop takes g4, just checkmate. So that was a quick comeback after maybe a disappointing loss in game 3. When he had a good position, but Jan Lee went on a king run. Hi there, Jasonic. We're looking at the games from the Crazyhouse World Championship final. And we're now looking at game 6 out of 60. We're looking at just 18, a selection of 18 of these games. So, game 6. So, ooh, that was a bit of a spoiler, if you have sharp eyes. So, in game 6, opperwezen is black and playing a French defense. Now, let me see. Yeah, this is fine. So I think this is. There's an idea sometimes in these positions of sacking a knight on d4. So you always have to watch out for that idea. So just as an example, knight f takes d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, something like this. So this is I mean, it's sometimes. It may be good, it may not be good, but it's just an idea always to watch out for in the French defense. I'm not very good at lines myself, but I try to understand like the ideas and stuff to watch out for. Which does mean I sometimes get stuff mixed up because different ideas work in different positions. Okay, so again, he could have gone for this, but he retreats. So, maintaining position, he's got a nice knight, and f5, takes. Okay, so takes on g4. Yeah, so in this position, probably what Jan should have done is gone for sack on h7, just disrupting Opper's king. This is game 6 out of 60 from the Crazyhouse World Championship final. And hi there, Baku's in the Twitch chat. But c4, maybe it proved to be the mistake of the game. We'll see. Knight takes bishop, queen takes, and knight takes pawn. That's a creative move. So he's giving away this knight, and how is he winning it back? So if queen, of course, if queen takes knight, he has a bishop in hand. So that was a free pawn, because white doesn't want to get his queen pinned to the king. So that was a nice find. So knight takes bishop, knight takes pawn. So he's a free pawn. Black trying to get some counterattack going. That dangerous knight is eliminated. The queen is pushed back, and we just have a wall of black pieces now. In fact, now actually here, yeah, I'm wondering if king h8 was much better, because that stops any white counterplay. Black's got this wall of pieces approaching the white king, and white's in big trouble. So king h8 is slightly better, but he did this instead. Knight f6 takes, knight here, rook here. Okay, suddenly the tables are turning. He's just lost his queen, and he comes with check, and that's again with check. So, and he can't take the knight or the queen is landing. That's why he's trying to use the knight as a kind of a buffer to protect him. And he's going so Opper's going for a runner at this point. Check, and queen comes in, and it's delivering mate. So, yeah, that was a position where Opper was completely in control. But look at that fast Jan Lee counterattack. Baku says, "Is this a new version of chess everybody is talking about?" Yeah, so we've just had the 12 draws in the World Championship between Carlsen and Caruana. Whereas in these 60 games, probably 1 in every 300 games in Crazyhouse is a draw. And we did actually have one draw, so we'll see right at the end. In the last 10 games, there was a draw. So probably, let's see, there were some critical mistakes here. Probably rook takes pawn was the beginning of things getting a little bit dangerous. And still, black is doing okay, but I guess taking the queen here seems to have been the fatal mistake. Which is surprising because bishop takes queen carries so many threats on the black king. Maybe it's not the critical mistake. So Stockfish thinks deeper and it thinks, yeah, things are already pretty bad. Maybe not blocking, just running immediately. Running immediately, then he takes the queen. Maybe then can we take... no, we've got a rook hanging, so do we take the rook or do we take the queen? So just to get an idea, if we took the queen, we're probably in trouble. Yeah. So you have to take the rook, because the rook can stir up trouble on our back rank. Yeah. So that would have been probably, yeah, that would be completely winning for white. If instead of blocking, it seems a very natural thing to do. Why would you not block? But apparently if you just did this, so why couldn't white just take this rook? Then what do we do? Okay, then apparently we can take our queen, but he doesn't have a queen in hand then. So he's got rook at e8, but maybe we can run out. And again, black would have been completely winning. Baku says, everybody's disappointed with Carlsen's performance during the World Championship match, and especially the last game. Everybody's saying he lost his nerves and he's not the same Carlsen, everybody knows. I can understand that final game, him not wanting to play on, like, just you make one tiny mistake and you lose your crown would be hard. In a position which, I mean, people look at the engine and say black had a slight advantage, but as a human being, I look at that position and I see the pawns completely locked, and it looked like a draw. Okay, so that was game 6. So opperwezen again had a really nice position, and then Jan Li came with this really fast counterattack. So that was quite a really nice game. But look, so in game 7, I'll just briefly run through this game, but Opper just bounced back really fast in game 7 with the white pieces. I'm not going to go into detail, I'm just going to quickly show how, again, it's going to be an attack on, I think it's on f7, is it? Let's see, yeah. So just as game 3 he bounced back an attack on f2, in game 4, in game 7 he bounced back an attack on f7, and look how fast this attack is. Bishop takes pawn check, queen, he clears away the danger, clears away any more danger, takes with check, and this is a nice move. Queen takes bishop, the idea that the bishop is guarding this. If you take the queen, pawn here is checkmate. So that's an important thing to notice. Knight here check, just takes it, queen here check, just blocks, and Jan Li resigns. Who is my top 5 of Crazyhouse, says Jasonic? Well, obviously, Opper would have to be number 1 now, being the world champion, and Jan Li number 2. And 12teen sadly closed his account over the weekend, but he would surely be, well, he came 4th to GSVC, so GSVC and 12teen 3rd and 4th in some order. So the real question is who's number 5? And All You Need Is Love is pretty good, but maybe JK the Bullfrog would have to be the close out the number 5. He closes his account because he's at university and he wants to focus on studies and feels that Crazyhouse is distracting him. So yeah, it's a real shame because he's like one of the heroes of the Crazyhouse community. And it means you can't look through all his old games because the account is closed, which is kind of sad. At least when people's account is open, you can look at their games, you can search games they played with a certain player, you can learn from them. So it's kind of sad to close your account. So yeah. Okay, so next we're going to look at game 11. Oops. Just going to make sure. Yeah. So just getting this right. Okay, so in game 11, opperwezen had the white pieces. And we see a 4 knights Italian setup, which people say is lost for black with best play. But Opper chose a lot of the time to play h3, which is quite a slow move. I mean, the move, which look, you see plus 5.8 is knight d5. And when Jan got this position as white, he did indeed play knight d5. But Opper played a slightly slower move. I mean, because he wanted to go for knight a4, hitting this bishop. So we're going for a slightly a6. So he wanted to go for, if d6, then knight a5 hitting the bishop. Okay, because of a6, he did the following. Then he comes to d5. Okay. So knight takes f6, hits the queen. So we're going to see some. He takes a pawn and hits a pawn on f6. So this is really crushing play from white, just going in on the black king, and a very, very nice move here. Pawn at g7. Because if you take the pawn, which Jan Lee did, the knight check, and then you pick up the queen. Probably that pawn was not the best thing to take, but I'm not sure what is the best thing to do here. I mean, if you go rook g8, knight takes rook. So, and if you move the rook aside, you could promote. So it's not clear. I mean, Stockfish is saying at e2, and I'm quite confused why. Why at e2? I mean, I can then like promote to knight check. I mean, it may not even be the best move, but it looks strong. Queen takes pawn. Yeah, and Stockfish says it's only plus 3.9, even not that great. I mean, this is really surprising. But oh my goodness. Knight g3. So you see that there were ideas for black. The point is that that's the idea of at e2. You can dump a knight on g3, hitting the queen, and you can't take the knight because the pawn is pinned to the king. So that looks dangerous, but now suddenly it says, oh, you can actually just ignore the queen. I am very confused about this position, because knight takes e2 check. So this is not something I was planning on showing you guys. It's just some really crazy sharp position that's just come up, and it's like, whoa. King h1, you just give away your queen with check, something you'd never do. And you just see this bar just kind of shooting down and shooting up again as it tries to work out, is black winning or is white winning. I think it's fair to say this is a really unclear position. So I'll just add that little annotation. But you've got ideas of pawn at g7, rook at h8, these sorts of things. Really unclear position. I can't say. I mean, white's just lost his queen, but look at that black king. It's a little bit airy. So I can't. And you got the bishop staring into the white king. You have the knight staring in. But okay, apparently, so at e2 was the move, followed by knight at g3 that was missed in the game. Instead, Jan did this and lost his queen. I'm just looking at the chat. Yeah. Okay. So bishop h6, g7. He's just going to go straight in and attack. Although the engine says things are quite level, it's quite hard position to defend in practice because this king is quite open. King takes h6, maybe a slight mistake, maybe king g8 would have held the position longer. It's hard to say. You just let it think for longer, and it's now seeing queen to h5. I mean, this is so confusing because I can just take this queen. Oh yeah, I can't because that knight's defending. That knight's defending h7. Okay, so yeah, there are lots of tricks in this position. But so he took on h6, takes on f7 check, king comes back, queen comes in. You got two queens basically hitting on this king. Picks up the rook, dumps the rook on the back rank, takes, check, takes. Here, could have gone for a discovered check here, but instead hits the queen first, then goes for the discovered check, which is blocked, takes again. Jan does this just so that he can hit the queen, because the queen on h5 was impossible to hit with any piece, with his knight or his rook. So he just draws the king in and then hits it. And here there's a discovered check. And yeah, this is a sort of tricky position because, yeah, queen takes pawn. No, sorry, this wasn't the takes, bishop here. Okay, takes. Okay, it's not so tricky at all. Knight will take the queen, and I was thinking of something else. Sorry. Queen will come here, king will come out. So it's not so tricky at all. Bishop at f6 just made everything very simple. I mean, obviously white is completely winning. It's just the question of how do you convert with stubborn defense. Yeah, but queen takes pawn or bishop takes pawn is completely. So Dublauer says, why doesn't it say that opperwezen is Crazyhouse champion in his profile? Lee chess is being slow. I've informed the mods, and everyone knows. So they just need to get it done. Yeah. So I'll just put down that's all the information about the Crazyhouse World Championship. This is the link to the YouTube. Do please subscribe. I'm at 96 subscribers, so 4 more when I hit 100, which is a nice landmark. It's not just a nice landmark, it means I get a nice link on YouTube. So when I share the link, it's not going to be channel UCMDPIOR8 anymore, and with a sort of 20-digit code. And what else? And if you want to get better at Crazyhouse, there's also instructive content on the blog, not just that's a beginner's guide to Crazyhouse on the blog, so do check that out as well. So there you go, instructive content, all the links to the recaps of all the previous rounds of the Crazyhouse World Championship, and also a YouTube channel with 88, if you look at the playlist, you've got 88 streams of games from the Crazyhouse World Championship. On my own YouTube, I've got a lot of content, both commentary but also instructive videos, a bit of Bug House, a little bit of chess as well, so lots of different things, but mainly Crazyhouse. The results of the final are not yet. So the results of the final are not yet posted. There were 32.5 opperwezen to. So these are the games of the final. This is the study I'm looking at. You can see the games here. Okay, and yeah, the results of the blog about the results of the final I have not written yet, but it was 32.5 to opperwezen to 27.5 to Jan Lee. So that's the result just last Saturday. But you'll find there the results of the candidates, and if you click on the link, the latest results of the candidates, where opperwezen won 9.5 out of 10. Okay, so 11 was a crush, and from opperwezen, and just to share another crush as white from opperwezen in game 13. So I'm just loading it up, and I'll just play through it quite quickly. So again, with the white pieces. So let's just, maybe I should play the opening a little bit more slowly, so people can takes. Okay, so why doesn't he take with the queen? I guess he doesn't like bishop b5 check, but taking with the queen is also fine. So he's threatening a pawn drop on g7, defends, and this is activating the rook on the open file, preventing the bishop from developing. Okay, if you take, bishop takes, no, hang on. If you take, yeah, what's the threat here? If you take, I mean, if you ever get a knight, you're putting a knight on f6. So I guess the point of this move, yeah, you have to go here, pick up a knight, and then go knight to f6. It's a little bit slow, so maybe taking was perfectly fine, in fact. But generally goes a bit passive, and I think this is what I was looking at when I'm looking at the games. If there's one thing I notice is whenever Jan Lee goes passive against opperwezen, it does not turn out well for him. Whereas when he was playing aggressive Crazyhouse, opperwezen often has struggles to defend, and that's why on day 3 we saw both players going all out. And Jasonic asks, how long have I been playing Crazyhouse? Since the beginning of 2017, when I joined Lee Chess, and that's when I started playing chess again, after not having played for. Hardly been played for like 20 years practically. I mean, played occasionally on Yahoo, but hardly. Okay, so he's coming in to f7, but f7 is protected by the knight. So he takes with the knight, takes, and hits f7. Okay, so it's a slightly precarious situation here, because obviously black's got threats of his own with queen d1, but. Oh, and this is really nice. So he does the very natural thing. So check, and now it's like, this is the position where mere mortals would be like, darn, the attack's run out. No more decent checks. I've been playing 2 years, yeah. So, and I hadn't played Bughouse. I played Bughouse at school, but that just like literally once or twice. So we didn't really understand how to play Bughouse in those days. So now I've played with guys like Mixu and Drunken Mashi as well. I mean, Drunken Mashi and Mixu both taught me Bughouse, as well as watching Helm's Night. I mean, just by playing them just a couple of times, Mixu a few more times. And just by watching people like Helm's Knight and Chuck Moulton and Little Plotkin and Penguin GM, you watch these guys play and you realize, yeah, this is how Bughouse should be played. Obviously, I didn't know any of that when I was a kid. I literally played a couple of times. It was like, okay, so this is a really beautiful. Like, if you had this position, okay, we can see this check, but what's the point? Because obviously, he could just take this. But then, yeah, then we've got a clear mate, because you check with pawns. So that would be obvious. But you might see this and just say, but just pawn takes here, and then I don't see anything. Sure, we have pawn at f7 check, which is what happened in the game, but then king d8. I still don't see anything. And then e7 check. And this is the point Jan Lee resigns. He sees the game is up. But I'm still like scratching my head. Okay, why is this again? Because yeah, this is very cunning. This is just so cunning. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so why is this mate? So if king takes pawn, you have got knight to g8. King goes back. Then knight swings in, and it would be mate, but you can take the knight. But the moment you take the knight, the queen comes in as checkmate. Okay, so you obviously can't take with the king. But why can't you just take with the bishop? Oh, but this is even easier. It's the same mate. The knight swings in, pawn takes knight, queen here, checkmate. This is a really tricky mate, I think. Um, um, and yeah, real kudos to it. From this position. Real kudos. I remember watching this and like Opper did actually think for like 20 seconds or so. And then boom. Yeah. Um, and of course, if queen takes, the same kind of ideas. Pawn at f7, king d6, but now knight at e6. So even if you take the knight with the queen, another knight takes it, pawn comes in, and then we're coming in with the queen. So really nice idea of clearing out a diagonal. Yeah, I mean it was it was quite beautiful to see. So that was a really nice finish. Okay, so then that was at the end of day one. Jan Lee, I'm not showing representative games. I'm just trying to do this as a brief a summary as possible. So at the end of day one, Jan Lee was actually 11-9 ahead. That's not representative of the games I've shown, so I'm sorry. But on day two, Opper did very well. He won 12 games to 8. So we're going to look at game one on day two. And Jan Lee is, we'll look at it from the perspective of Opper, just because we've done that for the rest of the stream. So I'm not quite sure why that was. So just waiting for it to load up. Okay, so Opper was black, just as he lost the first. Okay, why are best move arrows suddenly showing? They are off. Yeah. Okay. People don't like best move arrows, I'm told. That's why I just turned them off. Okay, so we have Jan as white going for a bishop takes f7 check sack. And this is opening theory. This bishop at e2. So okay, so just to go a little bit slower, e4, e5. It's not considered the best line for white. It's quite an aggressive line. I know Opper used to love to play it when back in 2017, but apparently not so much this year because he found that there were ways of for black to defend if he plays it accurately, and so he stopped playing it so much. But we see he's playing it on game one of day two, and the idea is, yeah, you can win the white queen, which immediately comes with a mate threat on e2. So black takes that queen, but black only has a queen in hand, so white is hoping for some fast development. And so we had this sort of structure with triple pawns, and quite strong structure in the center, which I'm sure Jan appreciated. So if I just look at the opening explorer here, just a second. So it's still a fairly level position. So in 3 games we have actually e takes d5, maintaining the triple pawn center. And we see if you look at the opening explorer, Jan Lee, opperwezen, Jan Lee, opperwezen. So they're all Jan Lee, opperwezen games, but actually with quite good results for opperwezen as black in this line. But not this particular game, as we all see. So knight takes pawn, knight to knight, pawn takes. We have these triple pawns. And actually, this is the mistake. Maybe. It's not clear why it's a mistake. I mean, Stockfish is going for some crazy stuff, which I imagine it's going for knight h3 takes queen at g2. Then you're winning either the rook or the knight back. Okay. So what was this one again? Oh, this is very interesting. Yeah. Let's see, this is... If I just... Yeah, I'm trying to remember. which game this was. Okay, I'll just load it up in a second. But okay, we'll keep going with this. So he hits the knight. Okay. Why doesn't he move the knight? So knight h3, hitting f2. Takes. There is. You just click on the little book here. Opening Explorer and Table Base. So watch bishop takes. And it's a good way of finding a game. You play through the first 20 moves of the game and then click on the Opening Explorer, and this will be the only game with in this opening. Now, the reason I wanted to look at this is, yeah, I mean, this was basically, you can't, maybe I don't know if you can quite see it, but yeah, this is an example of actually really nice play from. Okay, so I was thinking, why are you hanging this knight? But knight at f4 is actually the best move in the position. So yeah, I have to admit, I'm not really. This is the point where I need Opper to join me, because but I think it's still lunchtime in Holland. So I don't understand knight at f4 entirely. So white. Okay, so let's just try and. I mean, if you just say move the knight, probably things are going to turn bad somehow. Then black has knight at f4. Okay, so knight at f4, just trying to maintain position. You can take the knight. That's no problem. I guess, yeah, white just really needs to try and maintain position, and yeah, protect f4. And this is really nice play from white, and I think just look at white's play here. Look at Jan's play in this position, and it's something to admire. He somehow managed to stay safe. I mean, although he's given back some material, he stayed safe on his around his king. He's only given back a piece, and now he's going to start to attack. Attacks. I'm wondering at h6, but no. Takes g7 immediately. King takes is too dangerous. So black trying to go for some kind of counterattack. But yeah, I mean, white's attack is just too strong, and just mate. How did I come? Okay, so when you're in a study, if you click on the Opening Explorer, it gives you a list of games that were played in this line. And what you can do is you can click on that game, and you can either insert the game into your study by pressing Insert, or you can view the game, that will open it in a new tab, or you can cite the game, it will just add a link to the game inside your study. So yeah. So yeah, that's studies are cool. So that was game 21. So game 25. So the fifth game on day 2. And Jan Lee again was white, but I'm just going to turn the board round so we watch it from opperwezen's perspective. But within a study, I think it has to be, not in analysis board. The menu is only within a study, not within analysis board. Yeah, exactly. Because it's not letting you edit my study. That's why it doesn't want you. It's not letting you cite stuff. Yeah, but it's not. It has to be your study. Because the reason it's not giving you those options is because the owner of the study doesn't want you adding stuff to their study. But if it's a study you own, you can do stuff like cite stuff or insert lines and stuff like this. So it's ways of yeah. Okay, so we see another example of this, but I think... Was this the game I wanted? Apparently. Okay, so instead of going for bishop at e2, in this game, opper goes for knight takes c2. Okay, takes, hits the queen. And yeah, in this game, Jan Lee resigned, or he lost on time. But yeah, Black is winning. So it was quite a turnaround. He'd lost in this line earlier, but in this particular game he turned it around. Yeah, it's just interesting. So I don't know if the knight takes c2 is, maybe it's not stronger objectively, but he played an almost perfect game. If I just go to, let me see, if I go to a certain move and because I'm streaming it and press view, okay. I'm trying to remember this. Is this the game? No, this isn't the game. There was one game, and I can't remember which one it was, in which opper made 0 inaccuracies, 0 mistakes, 0 blunders, average centre pawn lost 2. But I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, that's just a nice stat. Okay, so let's go to game 35. Okay, 35. So opperwezen is black in this game. Yeah, I thought this was a really nice game. So we've got this line again. So I guess it's because there's this pattern. So he tries to kick the knight. This time we've got bishop at h5. I think Jan values knights more than the queen sometimes, and we see this here. Takes the knight, takes the bishop. Takes. Okay, so we're back at this kind of treble pawn setup. And if you watched day 2 of the Crazyhouse World Championship final, we saw this kind of position a lot on day 2. Not so much on days 1 and 3. This was a kind of a feature of that day, which is why I think I chose these particular games. Okay, and really nice. Knight takes h2. That's creative. What's the idea of this? I guess if rook takes, you drop a pawn. I haven't checked the engine, but I'm guessing you drop a pawn on g4 if rook takes. Let's just see. Or also you've got a queen in hand, so maybe it's something else. Okay, it's queen at f1 rather. Ah, yeah, okay. So it's something much more dangerous than dropping a pawn on g4. Queen at f1, bishop d1, pawn at e2. So it's not the end of the world, but it's looking hairy. But knight takes, actually white's got quite a good advantage here. g3. Knight f4, okay, I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I see, yes. He's afraid of bishop takes knight and sort of some knight landing on f2 at some point maybe. So he doesn't want to lose his knight, was the reason. But yeah, he's losing that knight. So I have to admit I'm not entirely sure. Oh, so that's the point of knight f4. He's coming in on e6. Okay, I see now. Okay. Knight to e6, takes, king e8. My goodness. So in this position, Jan Lee, as white, had forced mate in 8. with a very natural idea. Dropping a pawn or bishop on f7, the idea is if you take it, you can take the queen. So not you'd be very tempted in this sort of position to drop a pawn on f7. And in the situations where you have a pawn on e6, dropping a bishop is much better, because if the king decides to run, you have a follow-up, bishop takes e6. In this position, it's not so obvious why dropping a pawn is worse. Like, you've still got king d7. Why would we want to have control on this square? But yeah, well, let's just follow this line. At c6, if king c8, c takes b7. So let's just take, and I guess take. But now we're losing the queen with check. Yeah, that's not so good. So, and now the point of having the bishop suddenly becomes clear, because, yeah, this is completely good. White's got so much material, this is clearly crushing. And if you try to step back, then pawn at b7, king here, and knight at a6 will be checkmate. So bishop, that's a really instructive. Bishop better than pawn. Yeah, if you drop a pawn, you can run the same thing, but it probably is mate. I'm sure it's mate, but it's just not going to be so easy, because the bishop's not going to be controlling this square. So you can run through the whole. Oh, and also, yeah, the pawn here is not the same. So if you go bishop here, takes. You got even king takes e6. I mean, this is without a bishop, it's just like oops. So you say it's, yeah, and Abel says it's hard to see, but this is actually a really familiar pattern, that bishop check is really good because it controls e6, and you're not really hoping to promote that bishop. Whereas yeah, you need that backward control on e6 and also on d4. So it means that it frees up this pawn to then take. So it is actually, you might say it's hard to see if you but it's actually a very general pattern. Yeah. And it's in Bughouse. It's a very common mistake. People would drop a pawn because they don't want to lose the material, but then the king runs. Sure, the pawn and bishop are both the same if the king takes, but if the king runs, the bishop is suddenly a much better piece to have on that square, because it holds the position together, forwards and backwards. So I should show what happens if king takes bishop, which is the whole point of dropping the piece on f7. You take the queen with check. Okay, but now this is just going to be over. Stuff is going to be landing. Pawns and queens and bishops are going to be landing on all the light squares, and the game is up. Because you're losing the queen with check. Losing the queen with check is usually a bad idea. Okay, but Jan instead went for knight takes pawn, and the king went for a runner. Okay, so he wins the queen with check. The only problem, and if you took the knight, so for example, queen at d7 would be mate. The only problem is black's got a return check. So you're taking the queen with check, but there's a return check. And something crazy happens here. So Jan, I think, was trying to distract with this move here, pawn at f3. I think he was trying to distract the queen from from defending these squares around the black king. So he's hoping for drops on e6 or f6 followed by queen e7 mate. That kind of idea. And to be honest, I would think he's completely fine in this position. But look at opper counterattack. It's quite a counterattack. Knight here. The point is, if you take, I'm going to promote with knight. So he runs. Well, you could take, but then I promote with knight and I've got another rook in hand. So now opper's got 3 pawns, a knight and a bishop. Is it enough? So he uses the knight to get the king out. Oh, the other knight comes in. That's beautiful, isn't it? Guarding f3. Oh, hi there, Mugwort Crazyhouse. It says 24 at g3 would have been an icy cold move. not sure. Okay, not seeing where, but okay. So queen takes pawn, knight here, knight comes in, the other knight comes in, so the king is pushed off to b4, and suddenly Stockfish, you see, is calling mate. So will Opper find the mate? So check, knight takes pawn is check, defended, king goes for a runner. Jan is scoring a touchdown, king takes another pawn. Rook a7, Jan's king scores a touchdown, and then he resigns because he can block, but it's going to be mate on the back rank. Oh, stops queen takes g4. Oh. So instead of taking the queen, going at g3. Right. But then the queen can go for a runner, but the point is the queen doesn't really have many squares it can go to, and yeah. Then you have knight c5, discover check, king d8. Yeah, I mean, it looks like trouble. No immediate mate, but it looks like trouble is brewing. Well, maybe there is an immediate mate, it's just my computer's slow. Says knight c7 check, king d8. What's it seeing? Knight 7. It's kind of shuffling right now, so I'm not quite sure what it's seeing. Seeing bishop to h5 check. He's got pawns and knights to block with, so why not just use them? Why not just block with the pawn, say? It's still shuffling, so I'm just really unsure what it's seeing. Oh, just take the rook. Okay, so just take the rook and drop on f7 would be its idea. Okay. And yeah, the bishop's then covering. Bishop's covering everything. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so that was quite a finish. In a game Opper was completely losing. Jan does have these king runs, and we saw earlier in the stream where he managed to get away, but not this time. So that was a good game. Okay, so let's look now at game 37. So we're looking at the games towards the end of day 2. And actually there are a lot of really interesting games towards the end of day 2. Almost like, I'm going to look at 37 and 39, but 38 was also really interesting if you check it out in the study. So if anyone is watching and wants to check out the study, that's the study link. This will be posted later on YouTube, so just quickly sharing the YouTube link. And people wondering about the Crazyhouse World Championship, I'll just post that Crazyhouse World Championship link as well, again. Okay, so in this game, and I'll just turn the board round so that all the games I'm looking at in this stream are from Opper's perspective. Okay, so Opper was black in game 37. And we're seeing, yeah, day 2 was all about this sort of this kind of pattern. But instead of knight takes c2, okay, so this time bishop a5. Okay, he takes the knight, takes the queen, takes, yeah, so we saw this opening already. With these tripled pawns. Yeah. And attack on f2, defended. Okay, like trying to not get into the troubles he got into last time, creating a safer king than last time. Okay. Okay, f4 is an important square, trying to undermine it. Although he does in the process slightly weaken his own king side, so it's a slightly concerning move. If white had a pawn, then pawn at g7 is a pretty big threat. So he's trying to kick that knight before that pawn lands. Ooh, he lets the pawn land. I'm surprised he doesn't take the knight. But maybe there are problems. Opper's got himself into all kinds of trouble here. Yeah, real problems. Quadruple pawns. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So check. King goes here. Queen takes rook. Yeah, I think this is just he doesn't have anything. Yeah, he's just checking. He doesn't have anything. Yeah, so he's got himself into big trouble, and don't think he had anything. Any of that. Just checking. There was nothing there. Yeah, he just got himself into big trouble, and yeah, that was a really nice crush from Jan Lee. Yeah, and I guess it's just the visualization of these quadruple pawns that was one of the reasons for wanting to share this game. Yeah, it's a really nice game. 38 was also a really nice game. Then Opper was white in that game. I'm not. So, for some reason, I got that also from Jan Lee's perspective. So let's just turn that round. Yeah, 38 was also a nice game. I'm not going to count that as one of the 18 games I'm going to talk about in this stream. But I'll just. So in this game, Opper was white. And it was just very powerful. And the rook comes in and it's mating. But yeah, so he bounced back from the loss in 37 in game 38. I'll just say. And next game we're going to look at is game 39, and Opper was black in this game. Okay, so what happened here? So yeah, so Opper won game 39. So slight spoiler. Oh, we've got another of these ones. Yeah, so I guess that was the point. Takes, DC. I think that's the reason I wanted to look at 37, 39. It's just, again, the sort of the pattern. The pattern of day 2 is all about this kind of possession. Takes. Okay, we got these triple pawns. But in this game, we're going to see... We saw how Opper lost the last time, but he's going to do a bit better this time. Okay, knight f2, and then so we're seeing the same pattern of moves. Already at move 16, we're in the same. Okay, drops back. He's not going to go for h6 g5 this time, I'm sure. Goes for rook c8. Just playing a little bit more conservatively. Still, though, that knight is landing on e6. But okay, he wisely doesn't take it. If you take it, then I think you're asking for trouble. Although Stockfish is saying, yeah, just take it. Okay, so takes. Knight takes g7. Okay, so the knight near the king is a friend, so he's going straight in for an attack. I guess the threat is once the king lands on f2, the knight could land on g4. So, yeah, indeed, that happens. So that's why the king is afraid to take this pawn, because the knight lands on g2, and then the queen here is checkmate almost. I mean, the king might run to here, but it's looking hairy, because then queen takes this pawn, and if that's not mate, then queen will, yeah, not queen, but it will be mate if you take that pawn. Okay, let's just show you the mate. Knight at b4, king d2, queen c2, king e3, queen takes d3, king here, and the final move which I didn't quite see. It's that one. Queen takes g5 mate. That was one I was missing from earlier. But yeah, it looked dangerous. So, Jan runs for it. He wins the bishop. Okay, queen on the back rank. Takes. Pawn here. He's finally got the king onto this dangerous rook file. So this knight has landed. Queen takes bishop. The point of that probably is just to put a bishop here. Indeed it is. Block off the king. And that is almost a smother. The king can still go here, but the bishop can take here, I think. Bishop takes d3. The king could still go here, but pawn goes here. So in this position, after the knight check landed, Jan Lee resigned. So it was a nice comeback, like learning from the mistakes. I think it's really good when you see you play an opening and it doesn't quite work out, and you try and see, what did I do wrong, and fix it. And you see the same kind of ideas from both players, but the e6 being weak and f4 being sort of important to kick that knight, but just not doing it with g5 is far too dangerous. Okay, so now we go on to the games on day 3. And we're going to start with the first game on day 3. And the first games on all the days were just amazing games. Like the first game on day 1, the first game on day 2. Just, and in fact, Jan Lee won the first game on every day. So, I mean, I know it's a spoiler, but Jan Lee as white won this game. So, bishop e7 from opperwezen. To defend f7. Queen takes b4. Okay, so he's going for f7. It's kind of hard to defend as well as defending this square, so he just goes for sacking the queen on that piece. Defends. Try to just put pieces around his king. And the sack on h7 comes. Okay, so he's working in on the dark squares on the white king. Okay, he loses his bishop at f2. Takes, takes, takes. So black seems to be doing okay here for now. He's hitting the queen. Knight g5. Although his own king is starting to look a little bit weaker now on the light squares. Ooh. So yeah, the back rank is a big problem for Jan Lee here. Defends, takes, takes. Now he just needs a, yeah, I don't know. So this is really interesting because, yeah, if you take that rook with the queen, the problem is that black has bishop d2 check, king takes bishop, and then knight takes queen, discover check, and the game is up. It's a mate in 3. So Jan Lee very wisely moves the king aside, rook here, rook takes rook, again, very accurate move, knight takes rook, e3, blocking the check, bishop takes e3, again, very accurate move from Opper. And actually, yeah, the engine hadn't seen it yet, just here, it hasn't seen it, but actually, it turns out this move, knight takes f3, is mating. It's a forced mate in 19. Yeah, I just wrote it here. This is a forced mate in 19. And Opper plays all the correct moves, but doesn't get. But for the first few moves, e3 takes, queen takes bishop is correct, knight to f1 is correct, king to e2. But now there's a critical move which is necessary to finish off the mate. It's a mate in 13 now. I mean, this is really hard. He played rook at e1 check, takes, and then pawn there, trying to distract the king onto this square or this square so he can take the queen with check. Sorry, not to that square. What am I talking about? Try to distract the king to take one of the knights is what I mean. So then he can take the queen with the other knight with check. That's what he wants to do. But by doing this, he just lost a rook. That didn't do anything. And suddenly white has forced mate. So there was actually a move here, and it's like if you make this move, you have mate. If you don't find this move, you are getting mated. Because queen at h2, h7 is just a huge mate threat. Okay, and the winning move is knight c3 check, and you might think, well, what's the point? You're just hanging your knight. And the king can just even go and take the other knight. Okay, well the idea is if you take this knight, you have bishop here. So if you take the bishop, knight takes queen with check, and then it's finished. So you definitely take the knight. But now you've got rook on the back rank, takes the bishop. If he takes with the king, this is still not completely obvious, but you have pawn at f1 check. King g2, bishop takes f3 check, queen takes f3, bishop h1, and you're threatening to promote. King takes h1, and then you promote to a queen. What does he do here? If he takes the queen, rook takes queen, you're winning a queen with check. That's going to be a bad idea. So he definitely has to block. If he blocks with, say, a bishop, the problem is you've got queen takes queen. Are you winning the queen with check? That won't do at all. Yeah, this is a problem. You're winning the queen with check, whatever he does. And if he takes the queen, then you're taking back, and you have queen at h2 mate at the end. Okay, so that's in this particular line where that was in a very particular line in which he takes the rook with the king. But if he takes with the queen, we have bishop d2 check here, bishop takes pawn check here, pawn here check, and this other bishop comes in. I mean, you're using all your pieces on the board, well, apart from this rook, and you're coming in on this diagonal, and this is checkmate. So really complex mating ideas. And yeah, so that's if king takes. So if bishop takes f3, king takes g3, we saw this mating idea. But what if he goes back to f1, then again the bishop cutting everything off, so you can just block it. Takes, and then this is the point. You can promote with check, so it's all over. So yeah, so knight c3, but why can't the king just take the knight, and then that should be fine, right? Because then there's no knight takes queen check. But then there's bishop takes e2, and the problem is these diagonals. We have enough diagonal pieces to win this. We can go rook at h2. Okay, so if the king goes back, we've got pawn at f2, and if king goes here, we have simply, oh, we can't do rook h1, but we can simply go pawn here, queen takes, and then pawn here is checkmate. The f pawn is defended. So after rook at h2, he can't really step back. And if he steps back here, he's losing the queen with check, so that's no good. So he kind of has to do this. And then there's a very nice move, I think. Oh no, it's just a boring move. You just take the queen with check. So yeah, it's all over. So basically, going all the way back, this was a critical position. Takes. From here, Opper played a lot of really good moves. So takes, rook here check, knight takes rook check, bishop takes pawn check, knight here check. Played about 5 consecutive correct moves, but then he missed the remainder of this 19-move mating sequence with knight c3. Really tricky, and now Jan is back in control. The checks run out, and he can sack a queen just to get in, and it's all over. And Jan does a minor piece mate. So that was a really nice game. Okay, so now let's look at game 44. So it's loading up. Opper was white in this game. Yeah, so trying to remember why this was a nice game, but we'll find out. So we see a French defense. Ah, yes. So this is a line that was played between Art of Deception and Lone Wolf in the early stages of the Crazyhouse World Championship, where, yeah, your queen is... So first of all, in this position, yes, you're losing a pawn here, but king safety is more important. So this is fine. You lose the pawn. Now in this position, it's quite common just to go queen e1. I mean, I would just do queen e1. It may not be the best move, but that's a very natural move. Queen d2 is possible. But there's a very sharp line with bishop to g5. And black can refuse the sacrifice or can refuse the exchange, but there is an interesting line where you take you exchange queens in this way, basically. And the reason it's so sharp is like now both sides have queens in hand. The correct move now for white, I believe, might be queen at h5. So obviously you're threatening queen takes pawn. I could be wrong, but so queen at g4 apparently is the main line. Queen with bishop at h5 and queen h5 also played. So and if we look at, says Jan Lee's played at 12 teams, played against Master Tan. But I definitely remember it as being something I saw in games between Art of Deception and Lone Wolf and Art of Deception and Fumitox. And if you look at, there's a wonderful video on my YouTube of Crazyhouse openings and exploiting weaknesses in the opening. It's probably like the best video I've done recently. It's not, I mean, I'm not counting the commentary videos because it is like sort of like a compilation of ideas. It was originally a prank video also because we were pretending to release Opperwezen's prep. So opperwezen produced a study for us of preparation where he plays knight f3, supposed prep for his CWC final, and told us could we release it as a prank as part of some other video we were doing. So we specially made that video to be able to recreate the Caruana the Caruana leak scenario. So yeah, queen at g4 apparently is the move here. Oh wow, okay, so Jan Lee knows the theory. Queen at g4 he plays. Not surprised, I shouldn't be surprised. So knight f3, hits the queen, queen goes back. I was getting confused. I was thinking it was white's move. So here, yeah, it's this position, queen h5 is played as white. So yeah, that's why we saw no Fumitox games. But anyway, I won't go into. So this is obviously creating a mate threat, and if you try and block, we can take. So it's kind of quite interesting. And if you ever take with this pawn, we can come in on here. So I can't remember the exact details yet. Do check. It's the final chapter of that video of Crazyhouse openings. It's got good stuff on that kind of line. It's a really sharp line. So you don't take immediately. Okay, so we're seeing a slightly variation here. Takes. So back here, h3. Apparently bishop at h3 is also strong. More interesting. Takes. Yeah, so this is another variation. But okay, going back. Queen f5 attacks. So he's trying to hit the queen. So the queen is the queen trapped? Yeah, I'm not sure if the queen is trapped. I mean, it does have h6 to go to, and then you could pick up the pawn. But okay, queen takes bishop, pawn takes. He takes the bishop, and the rook's providing lateral defense here. Got a lot of it. So another line, he could have gone knight at g3 check. This is actually also pretty strong for black. Okay, so he goes for this. Bishop d4 takes. So lots of threats on g2. Okay, that was just a mate. Well, there wasn't a mating threat because the knight still defends. Takes. Whew. Yeah, so Opper finds this queen at d8 move, and suddenly, wow. If he takes the pawn, sort of bishop d6 check, he has a queen in hand, so it's all over. So king d7, trying to avoid diagonals, but can't run away from long. The knight there just gets the knight out the way, so the queen can come in. I mean, the queen's just going to mate. So hi there, DJ Chestov. Opper has beaten Jan Lee 32.5 to 27.5 in the final. And we're just looking at some of the games. So there are quite a few lines here that I haven't properly looked at, but instead of e takes, yeah, I remember this. Instead of taking the bishop, maybe, so black lost that game, but taking the knight was probably a lot stronger. Takes, dropping another knight here, and just coming in on this sort of, that would have been a kind of a stronger idea for black during that game. So you can check out the third day on my, we did a nice commentary with about 10 people in the house streaming it on day 3 of the final. So do check it out on my YouTube, and do all subscribe to my YouTube. I'm almost at 100 subscribers, so let's make it 100. And the first 2 days, check out Flourish Zhouse on Twitch and on YouTube, because Flourish gave some very nice commentary with Antic. Or just try to go. Also, if you just go to my channel and look at playlists, you can see both the Jan Lee streams of the final, but that's without commentary because he's that serious face as he plays the games. That you can see my my stream with Fumitox and M. Michael and Flourish and the Lone Wolf and others from the House Discord, and you can see the stream of Flourish and Antic for the first 2 days. So I only did the third day. So some intense games, and this video here will also go onto YouTube, which will be a recap. That's what I'm doing right here. I'm just going through some of the best games. So this will be just a shorter way of just watching some of the best games, but although it's not live, you can see some more of the variations and stuff the players missed. So maybe watch this on when I finish the stream. Okay, so 44. The 4th game on day 3 was fascinating, and as we saw, and the 5th game, 45, was also amazing. So in this game, Opper was black, and we see d6. Other moves here are d5 or knight d4, but he goes with d6. And I think what I didn't entirely understand, but M. Michael says that knight d4 avoids, what he said was it avoids the Philidor trick, as it were. So I'm not entirely sure what he meant, but that will probably make more sense to others than I haven't. Maybe it would have avoided some of these complications. Okay, so in this position, knight g4 is definitely called for. So knight g4, h3, knight takes f2, and block. Knight takes rook, queen takes pawn. Oh, yeah, you don't take the rook. Knight takes rook would be a blunder, because then white's got a very beautiful mate with queen takes h6, g takes h6, pawn here. Okay, so we want to go, can't we just go to, if we go to g7, g takes h6, if we go to h8, I see, he's going to force us to g7. Notice there's triple pawns on this corner of the board. And then here, and at g7 is checkmate. Oh gosh, this little 3-pawn mate in the corner of the board. So knight takes pawn is good, but it's very important, queen h5, that you block with, yeah, blocking is fine. Maybe blocking with, maybe king g8 is better. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure how this line goes, but it's certainly some sharp stuff. And taking the rook is a mistake. But the problem is if you take this bishop, you've got this landing. So it's a rather uncomfortable position. If I just look up the opening explorer, there probably is a way of defending. Mugwort Crazyhouse says, look up the opening book in that queen sack line. So here, king g8. Yeah, white is still winning, apparently. I mean, in practice. No, I think Mugwort's the opposite, but yeah. He's got a good opening understanding, so he doesn't need to know the openings. Yeah, I'm not okay. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, but yeah, the Opening Explorer is a great tool just to look at how well people do in different lines. But obviously, sometimes you get good players who play losing lines, and so it's kind of not representative. Because you find losing lines do really well. Like you might find f5 is the best move for black or something, because Mugwort plays it. Okay, so this is coming, and it spells trouble for black, I imagine, but apparently not. Bishop takes d2. Bishop. Oh gosh, the queen is trapped. So yeah, so this is looking really good for white, but suddenly the queen's trapped, and it's suddenly maybe not looking quite so good. Knight to e6. Queen takes d3. Blocks. Queen takes knight. Knight takes rook. Okay, this is threatening rook at g8. Okay, so suddenly white is suddenly doing really well. And yeah, so now white is completely crushing. So this is not really any deep analysis from me. I'm just something went wrong somewhere. Just not quite sure where. Maybe taking the queen here was called for. I'm not sure. And if knight takes f8, then are there dangers here? No, not really. Oh, this is it. This is why I chose this game. Yeah. There's a really really important defense is just at h7. And if you pawn takes at various points, just dropping a pawn at h7 is a really strong defense for black. Because it stops the mate threat. Not only does it delay the mate threat, but yeah, actually even just this. And then yeah, this is now double covered. So yeah. Oh, I see. I had some lines added here. Knight g4. No, that wasn't it. Yeah, for some reason I didn't add it in, but this is it's really important for in this position. Even in this position, at h7 is fine, but bishop takes queen, and the bishop takes queen with the idea of at h7 to block off any threats after knight takes rook or anything else. Yeah, that was a really important move. At h7 stops the mate. Okay, so that was a nice game. And so we're in a sequence of 46. That was a nice game, a nice win from Jan Lee. From Jan Lee. And the next one, Opera is white. And we're seeing another of these French defenses. Okay, and Jan Lee plays this very nice opening idea, which I mentioned earlier in the stream, of knight f takes d4. It might look like you're just losing a piece. But the point is, if you take with the pawn, then you have pawn at e4, forking bishop and knight. And if you take with the knight, you're picking up 2 pawns for your piece. Not just 2 pawns, but the 2 central pawns of white. So black has kind of got equality in the opening. So it's really nice play from Jan. But Opper is now on the attack. And a really creative move. Often you see in these creative moves, he's +6 and he plays a wonderful creative move, and Stockfish doesn't like it because the thing to do with Opper's creative moves, unfortunately, is to ignore them. I don't think you take the bait, but you just place a knight. Is it bishop takes 8? Yeah, you just keep on playing your game, but they're very spectacular, these moves. But if you take the bait, which is sort of very tempting, then usually it spells trouble. Okay, so he's willing to give up this, but he wants to maintain control of h6. So this is quite interesting, because in this position, as a beginner, I'd be very tempted to try and control this square. And actually, Stockfish quite likes doing that as well. Knight f5, bishop f6. But instead, he's going for controlling the h6, f6 squares, which, yeah, that's something sometimes a nice idea. And then controlling, so you work inwards. So, but unfortunately, it doesn't quite work because White's just got winning too much material, and White will indeed get the mate. So that was just a really nice win from Opper. Okay, so we only got 3 more games we want to share. I was hoping to get Opper in on voice chat, but I seem to have I think he had to go to the barber's. It's his last day before. So 50. Yeah, last day he said he was able to stream because he won't be at his computer. So 50. Oh yes,
Hello.
we've got Opper in. Hi there, Opper. Cool. So I was just saying.
Hello.
Hi there, Opper. I'm on stream.
I was a bit late.
That's wonderful to have you. So I was just saying we've got 3 games to go, and I was saying it's a shame that I think you were at the barber, so I couldn't get you just yet. So this is wonderful.
Yeah, I'm just back.
Yeah, we got about 20 minutes to go, and we got 3 games to look at. So let's if you join the study, yeah, you're in the study. That's cool. So we're going to look at 3 more games. This is very exciting. We've got
58.
50, game 50, 53, and 57, which was the game which won it. So we'll start with 50.
50.
50, yeah.
The longer game.
So
I played D4 without thinking.
Yeah.
Like it's a normal game.
Yeah.
It's this format, so I played D4.
You prefer E4, yeah.
In the serious tournaments, I prefer E4.
Yeah.
But into practice, I prefer no theory.
Yes.
D4.
Yeah.
A little bit theory.
For sure. So we're going to a London system. Do you want to take the controls? Yeah.
Then you can do that.
Okay, I'll do it. Okay, I'll take the controls. Okay. So we got a London system. I played this myself, so this is my bread and butter.
Also with knight on d2.
Yeah, knight on d2. That's so quite often I put my knight on e2, but I don't always put my knight on d2. So that is slightly different from how I play. Yeah, very nice. It gives you option to c4. Yeah, first you need to take the bishop to protect, so c2 isn't weak. And then c4 is an option, and then h3. Yeah, again, I wouldn't normally think of playing this, but I guess that's to stop any. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One control maybe it's not most accurate.
What does it?
So that'll be safe.
Yeah, seems decent. Okay, so we take the bishop. So we notice just to the viewers, we wait to take the bishop after the king is castled because we don't want the rook on our open king.
Yes, that's why you made.
Yeah. So we double up the bishops on c7, the rook defends, and we push c4. So we're looking probably to swing our own rook into the open c file. Takes, and indeed your rook comes into the open c file. Okay, the only slight problem is, yeah, d3 is, because the knight's on d2, d3 is a weakness in this setup.
Yes.
So takes. Okay, this is looking slightly awkward. You're forced to play f3. Whenever you play f3, e3 becomes a slight weakness, but it was kind of forced by the position.
c2, would that be right?
c2.
Right? I don't think
so. Bishop e6 apparently is just good, but that's what Stockfish likes best. But It's okay. But c2 is played, so everything's hanging in the position. The white queen's hanging the black bishop. Takes. Yeah, this is the problem with c2. Okay, if you play, I remember we were watching this, the match with Soontalk, he says, well, if you play c2, you got to take on c2. Like, otherwise, why did you play c2, right? Like logically, if you play c2, you have to take it. You can't be greedy with this pawn and take both ways. It's one or the other.
You still want the knight, but it's weird if you want the rook.
Yeah, if you want the knight, you shouldn't play c. If you want the knight, you shouldn't play c2 because you can't take both ways. So it's like this pawn is just being too greedy. It wants to eat on both sides. So rook takes c2, and then he has second thoughts. He's like, nah, I don't want that rook. I want a knight. So he does this. So again, he's being greedy. He wants to take your knight and then take your rook. And you're saying, nope, you're not taking my rook. Okay, and then he finally says, okay, I'll take your rook. Otherwise, what was the whole point of c2? So yeah, he's still doing pretty nicely. Bishop g4, f3, h3, takes. He's just working his way into your position. Yeah, now this is a really interesting game. I remember why this game, because this is a game which, like, Stockfish really likes black, this whole position, even though black's sacked quite a lot of pieces. Like, yes, he sacked he's got 3 rooks, but he's only got 2 minor pieces. Yeah, a wall of pawns around the king. And he's just going to sack into that wall. Yeah. Oh yeah, because this rook. Wow, he's just got. Yeah, because he just put his rook on the open file. That was such an annoying move. And it's the best. It's arguably the best move in the position. Just rook at h8. It defends the king and it attacks your king at the same time. So push.
I don't want to take. But in this case, I decided to take.
Yeah. So this one. So you take on e5. Yeah, Stockfish likes it. So he takes on e5, and you've got another pawn to put somewhere. Some more.
I can sometimes.
So build some more pawns. Thinking of e6. So yeah, probably. So Stockfish quite likes pawn at e6 here. But okay, we're going for pawn at f2. But I think
I found you're right.
So actually, this.
Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, I remember this position. You're really scared that black's got a knight drop on h4, because then his position would become really strong. Yeah. So e6 apparently is actually the key for white maintaining initiative in this position. But after f2, takes. Yeah. I mean, it's thinking of moves like even knight takes d5. There's just one idea. Pawn at h2, king takes h2, bishop takes e5, f takes e5, knight takes d5. So it really wants to kind of blow up your position.
And the rook is quite nice.
Yeah, so that's what it's trying to. That's what Stockfish was trying to think about in this sort of position. F takes e5, knight takes d5, e takes d5. Queen takes d5.
Stockfish make it look so easy.
Queen takes d5. Or if not queen takes d5, at h2 first. But yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'm still not. Like, this is the thing. We go through a Stockfish line and you go, oh, I see. And I'm like, I still don't see, but okay.
No, I can't play some defensive moves.
Yeah.
But now I just got a very nice position. And that line you can swindle of you get some counterplay.
Yeah.
Now I just have a nice position.
So yeah, so in this position, you think white's got a nice position, right? We all thought, yeah, you got a really nice position as white, right? But Stockfish doesn't think that. Stockfish, this is a really weird position. Yeah, Stockfish says, like, black is crushing. And we're like...
That's true, and if I move tonight, you can just take on g4.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know, but you want some material.
So if you move the knight, you're saying... Knight takes d5. Knight takes d5, knight takes g4, yeah.
Black shall take something.
Yeah. And if we just take this pawn here, then black is getting this
Taking bishop d4.
rook
Or
takes.
knight h4.
Yeah, knight h4 check is good. Yeah, knight h4, and this is going to be a problem. Yeah. So Blunderman asks, what is
Very easy idea.
Blunderman asks, what is your favorite color? The important questions need answering.
My favorite color?
Yeah.
White and jet.
Sorry?
My favorite color?
Yeah.
I don't have one.
This is Blunderman with the important questions. And then he also says, what are your 3 favorite fruits?
I don't know the English word. Druiven.
Grapes? No. Yeah, so Oppa only speaks chess, Blunderman, so we're going to stick to the chess. Okay, so
My English is not so good.
yeah, it's fine. So yeah, rook takes pawn, pawn takes rook. If you gave it away, I mean, isn't this fine? But okay, so yeah, Stockfish is like -8. Knight takes d5. Knight takes d5, it just keeps on having this knight takes d5 sort of ideas.
Oh,
At g3, I mean, why? So obviously bishop.
Bishop h4.
So if queen takes g3, bishop h4. Oh my goodness. So okay, I mean we're not.
That's one.
So if queen h2, okay, so suddenly things are looking a bit dodgy. Okay.
Bishop h5. Oh.
Yeah. So things are looking dodgy very quickly. So yeah, so basically the key to his position is getting in on these dark squares and picking up pawns in order to do that. Okay, so okay, knight g5. Okay, it doesn't like that at all. It thinks just take his bishop, take his bishop. But okay, bishop doesn't. So this is just the one game where Stockfish really hated both sides play quite a lot, because it was a really, from a human point of view, hard to play position. Okay, king takes f4. It likes that move. Jan builds the pawn chain. We're in a quite level position. At this point, I'm thinking, oops, that king is looking really hairy in the center of the board. Yeah, so now it's actually okay, but it's a little bit hairy. Knight to c4, f6, knight takes bishop. Yeah, taking the knight might have been stronger, but okay. Yeah, f takes e5 was a little bit more scary. King g3, then knight takes d6. It's just maybe a little bit stronger for black, but okay. Knight takes d6 immediately. Pawn takes pawn. Knight here. And then you're trying to run the king back to safety, because once your king is safe, you have a lot of material up. And yeah, takes. Just a cute mate to finish, very cute mate to finish. You can block with the rook, but then you've got, I remember this, bishop takes rook, king here, and then rook in the corner, and double take mate. Takes. Okay. Unfortunately, I've only got about 10 minutes left, so we've got to just motor through the remaining 2 games, which are 53 and 57. So 53, I'll just run through it. This was a draw. So Opera is black. I'm just going to run through it, but you say anything you like as we go along.
So you can take. I got weak pawns, but I got to open f12.
Yes, yeah. So you see this and you think, this is like a really dodgy pawn structure. But you think, well, hang on a second. White doesn't have a bishop and any way of getting in on f7. And the moment black is castled, it's actually a really strong pawn structure. And I think Fumitox pointed this out as well on the live stream. This is actually going to be really nice, a nice structure, quite a safe structure actually for black. And yeah, the 2 weaknesses in this position are indeed these 2 pawns. Just defends them both. again, yeah, the key to this position, both for white, is to get a knight on f4. That is absolutely the key to this position. And so you put your own knight on f4. You're not going to get a knight on f4 if my knight's on f4. But also it's got attacking intentions. So you're going in on the attack. And and we get this, the white knight on, and of course this is so dangerous because it's attacking these two weak squares. Yeah, so sorry, anything you want to add? Yeah, absolutely. Nice queen move. That's what Crazy Ara would do. I bring the queen in laterally.
Expect rook f4. On move 31, rook f4.
Rook at f4.
En resultaat voor die is rook f4.
Yeah. So it looks good. The engine wants to do. It's not saying like this is not the best move, but this is the move it sort of wants to do. The reason is, yeah. I mean,
black is so safe.
Even if the queen ever takes this knight, yeah, it wants to get in on here, but black's got pieces here as well, but just not enough. So it's like 1, 2, 3 versus 1, 2. So it's like you just count them up. You just got one more control on that square. Oops. I mean, if you let that bishop hang there, that's mating. So yeah, it's really, you got control now on f3, and next you're going to start working on g2. So very dangerous. So yeah, Blinderman, we recognize Opper's audio quality is not the best, but actually it's perfect for understanding what he's saying. So we're not going to complain. Okay, so h3. Takes. So why is he taking again? Not quite sure.
Yeah, time trouble, no?
Yeah, maybe it wasn't so good.
I must have a mate here. I must be completely winning here. It's also a mutual time scramble.
Yeah, I see. This is a time scramble. I see. So if he takes, this is a little trick. If he takes, then you have mate, because of knight at g4, king here, and oh yeah, then knight takes rook, checkmate. So it's a little trick you set him with this. So he has to go king g1, and then you took his rook.
Oh, I didn't say right.
So Stockfish can't see a mate immediately. It's thinking of moves like knight takes d4, but I'm not quite sure why. Like
pawn g2.
Pawn g2, and then rook takes queen, and then knight takes rook. Yeah, and then pawn.
Knight takes a pawn with.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not simple.
A knight.
It's not simple at all. But yeah. So takes, check, rook. Oh, yeah, this one. So you take on g3, takes back.
We got no mate.
G2 check, takes. Yeah, this is really tricky because you go here check, and if he takes, you have this very pretty repetition. King h2.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a repetition.
It feels like almost one point.
Yeah.
I need 9.5 points for the win.
Yeah, and then this is. Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, I have to win 2 games.
Yeah, so in terms of the match situation, getting a draw meant you need 9.5 points. Because you need 9.5 points for the win, getting the draw was really definitely a smart thing to do. It put the win closer within reach. Okay, so I got about 5 minutes for the last game. I'm sorry for just when we got you, but I have to go in 5-10 minutes. This is the.
Oh, I lost this one.
Is it? Have I chosen the wrong one? No, this is the right one.
Oh, this is the queen g8.
This is the one. So yeah, you take us through it. So this is a game to win the world championship.
Okay, I explained the idea of queen f5.
Oh yeah.
The one a4 openings, and if you drop on e4, you got Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Queen a5.
Yeah.
The pawn on e4 is not.
It's wasted.
It's wasted.
Yeah, it's wasted a little bit. Yeah.
You don't got it in hand anymore.
Yeah, I've got it.
I'm not. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. So queen a5, got Scandinavian.
I didn't prepare this actually.
Yep.
It's +3 or 4. That's queen f5. I didn't prepare it, but I think maybe during the match, maybe I shall try this to avoid opening.
Yep.
As black. So for d4 ideas, it played d4.
Yeah, very natural. h3.
I'm undeveloped, so definitely can defend.
Yeah.
I can take, but I don't have my position. I try to play more practical.
Yeah.
From what?
So it like castles queenside, but yeah.
And if I think I'll take it. This. Maybe it's completely wrong. Something like this.
It's decent. It's not winning, but it's not losing either. Yeah.
This is something I look at during the game.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I'm forced to play g4. Play the annoying pieces on g4 and f4. I want to take on e3, then take on c3, and got knight f2.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I don't like this move.
Yes. He's stopped your tricks.
I have the feeling I know it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it.
Oops. We're up to knight takes e3.
I want to defend f7. Taking looks dangerous.
Yeah. So we had knight takes, bishop takes, and then bishop here. That's just reminding the viewers. Yeah. And now he's coming in on f7. Yeah. So white is. Yeah.
I wonder if I can really annoying.
It
Can
can't.
even drop on that on.
It can't see mate for white, so it's saying you're okay.
Yeah, can I go to h5?
Interesting.
So I defend also f5.
Yeah, and if you get a pawn, you got a mate idea as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot take on a2 or d4. I've got 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And bishop takes f3, I don't like that move. Because you can take, then he
Yeah. Then
has no targets yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he can hit me with h6.
Yeah.
Or then attack f7.
You need to be faster. Yeah.
Maybe I'm okay, huh?
Yep. So bishop takes f3 is good. It likes.
It's open h6.
Yes, looking dangerous again. Bishop takes
Also
6.
afraid of us. Yeah, I can defend because my knight defends h5.
Okay.
Bishop b4. Oh, yeah. Bishop b4 move 30 more.
Oops. Sorry.
No problem. Four.
Yeah, we're looking at that. Yeah.
Bishop b4.
Yep. Okay, so now if we lose a rook, obviously, yeah, the dangerous threats on rook g8. But for the moment, the knight is defending. Okay, so yeah, you're threatening h2. So he defends. Yep. Yeah, you're doing nicely here. Okay, so queen takes h3 you play. It likes queen takes b4 weirdly. So queen takes b4, c takes b4, and then queen takes h3, threatening bishop at b2 mate. But couldn't you just go rook pawn here? So apparently you can just go queen takes g2. Boom. It's not. It's like it's not completely. This has to be mate, or why are you doing it? But it's not saying mate. It's just saying do it and promote. Okay. Oh, okay.
Can't get a queen.
Can't get a queen. Okay, maybe you can't get a queen apparently. Yeah. So you can't get a queen. So what you have to do is you have to go bishop f1 check and try next time, and then you can get a queen. So if he takes king takes, then rook at e1 is mate. So you can't take it. So he has to go to d1, and then you're going to go again. Pawn e2 check. If he steps back, you're going to promote. Well, he has to step back. What else? And now you promote. Oh my god. So yeah, it's like you're not winning. You're just there's no mate. It's just you're completely winning. That's all. And then queen takes b4. Okay, but there better be a mate at the end of this, or else I'm not happy with your position.
It must be winning.
It must be, but so bishop b3, so at a3, king c1, king b1, whatever, and it just says get another queen on the back rank. It's like, yeah, just get another queen. Okay, so hi there, Jackdaw. Jackot, rather. Yeah. No, I'm just joking. I mean, it also likes bishop c4. But anyway, yeah. And that's threatening to get the queen with check. Yeah.
I like this more.
Yeah, exactly. This is good.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the game.
Go to the
Yeah, queen takes h3.
first one.
Okay. So queen takes g2, you play it. We're down the line. Knight h4. Queen b5 check.
Yeah, I think I was winning here.
Yeah. It wants queen takes b4. It wants you just to eat that bishop.
Oh, the same variation.
Same idea, yeah.
Yes, same variation.
Yeah, same variation. But anyway, you do queen b5 check. And yeah. It likes b4, yeah.
Not really nice.
So then you take b4 and you check. So now a knight on c3 will mate. So yeah, interesting. So notice how these ideas earlier in the game are reflected later. Because you just want a knight to put on c3 and it'll be mate. Okay. So knight e2, nice move. Because this isn't a mate threat still. Now you're threatening knight at c3 mate, but he can just take on a3. But you still got this knight at c3. But he's yeah. But white's got a slight edge, or a significant edge. And this is all in a time scramble, of course. I have to emphasize to the viewers. Yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't like to play this with both sides. I will prefer that.
Yeah. So at d3 is probably your best idea. Just trying to come in on c2.
Yeah.
You go at a3.
C2.
Yeah. C3, and then he does coming in on you, and this is like the moment. Oops. Oops.
I was oops. I think this was what I was doing.
But he tries. He goes ultra defensive, and he just walks into a smother because you got two knights, all both focusing on c3. Boom. Smothered mate. And with that, and by the way, the last two games, I think Jan Lee had just won. He had to win like 6 in a row at the end to win, and he won like 2 in a row or something. He'd won 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he'd won 2 in a row, and he was going for the third in a row, and he had mate. So then he would only have 3 more to go. And yeah, so congratulations, Opper, and thanks for joining us. The 2018 Crazyhouse World Champion.
Je kan still have won, but
So say it again.
white is work advantage.
Say it again.
Maybe you can still have won, but white is a big advantage.
Yeah.
2 whites.
Yes, yeah. So if he'd won that, yeah, still he'd have had a chance, but obviously, yeah, you'd have had 2 whites to go, so it would have been difficult. But he would have had 3 in a row, going for 6 in a row. So it would have put the pressure on, certainly, and we were certainly getting excited watching. But he was launching some kind of comeback. But yeah, nicely finished off, and then you won the next game and the game after that as well, I think. So you won at least 2 of the next 3 games, in fact. Yeah. So the final score 32.5 to 26.5. So congratulations, and thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to the viewers for watching. Yeah. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.